There we go. Maestro, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself. You know yourself better than I do. I'll let you introduce yourself and go ahead with the topic for today. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you as well. Can everybody hear me clearly? I just want to make sure because I had
Yep, you
some
sound
issues in the
great.
past. Okay. Well, thank you again, and thank you everybody for joining and your introductions. My name is Maestro Stevens, and I was brought here by the lovely Michelle to talk to you all about AI. A little bit about my background so that you all have some context. I am no expert in AI. I'm going to start there. I am a brand expert and more specifically, brand webmaster because I have a background in building websites. I started with Builderall and Squarespace, all the other types of websites you all probably heard of. And then I moved to WordPress in 2018 and I have not looked back. So I'm not a beginner, but I'm not as advanced as some of you all here. However, I do bring a fresh perspective to the WordPress world. That's why I'm coined the Fresh Prince of WordPress. And I like to help people think about different ways to utilize WordPress in a nerdy yet cool fashion. I do own an agency called The Iconic Expressions, and we are a creative agency that specializes in branding websites. And with no further ado, I guess I'll dive in. But before I do, today I just structured this topic more in a conversational, discussional manner. So yeah, I don't want to do the typical presentation style the whole time. So I'm going to be asking you all's opinions, drop me a line as far as, helping me freestyle this out. I do have slides, but I like to go off the cuff. So let's
Sounds
get
good.
started.
So you want to entertain questions as they come up for people then?
Yeah, I mean, whether they're questions or I give I need some examples to prompt in while we use the AI. I thought that would be very helpful to do like real time.
Awesome.
Live
Sounds good.
stuff.
All right, we're all about it.
I'm sharing my screen now. Let me show. Okay. Can everybody see my screen clearly?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. So today's topic is accelerating your website design guidelines with AI assistance. Yeah. Get this stuff, the Zoom widgets out the way, which are like the most annoying things that nobody sees except for you. Okay. And then I will be looking at the chat as much as I can as well too. All right. So let's first talk about the benefits of AI. And I think that I heard a couple people here say that they were interested in AI. I don't know how many people I heard say they've actually been utilizing AI, and I'm actually kind of curious, for those who are here, how long, if you've been using AI, how long have you been doing it? Is it the past 6 months? Is it the past year? You can put it in the chat. Is it the past 2 years? I think that that's very important to know, just so I know like where we all stand. But when it comes to the benefits, the first thing I would say is it saves a lot of time, because in the wise words of my late great auntie, who I don't know her name, but we gonna pretend she's my fake auntie, time for that. Ain't nobody got time for the mess. So when it comes to AI, we want to save time and as much time as we can. That's just the starting off first thing. The second thing would be generating ideas. AI is really good when it comes to just thinking of different ideas. And as I look in the chat, I do see people with a few months, 4 months. For you, Michelle, I see Joseph about a year, Christopher a few months, Emily a year, Trisha a few months, Mike past 3 months. Okay, I see. So we're up and down here. So that's great. We have people that have been using it for a few months and people who have been using it for a year or more. And then also another benefit when it comes to AI after generating ideas is accessibility. So, AI does give a fairer playing ground when it comes to people who aren't necessarily natural born designers, such as myself. As I mentioned before, I actually work with a team, and one of my employees is a graphic designer. Another one of my employees is a web developer. So when it comes to, having the ability to not only generate ideas, but be able to dive into more advanced type of design that we normally wouldn't have access to, based on my designer's like skill set where she's at now, and based on my knowledge, because I have knowledge in design, but I don't have the skill set she has. AI levels that playing field like 10 times full. And it also helps us prototype very, very fast. Rapid prototyping, it also, coincides with the saving time. But more specifically, if you're just trying to, create more of a structured direction, in that prototyping type of way, AI is really, really good for that as well too. So these are just a couple benefits. This is not like the whole list, but I just want to give you all a few to think about. So let's go into creating site icons. Now, again, as I mentioned before, I am not an expert in AI, and I'm still testing. Not being an expert means I'm still in the testing workflow. So a lot of this presentation, I'm using this as a way to kind of be the AI for you, help you generate ideas and thought processes on how you can use AI while I'm using it, because maybe there's some things I've thought of that you haven't thought of. And if you think of something that I haven't thought of, share it in the chat or let's put it in the conversation. So site icons are pretty much also known as favicons, and I'll get to the more of the definition aspect. But this is an example of one of my clients' site icons that we created for them. And we made it as a brand mark for this client. Now, when it comes to being able to create these icons, I'm never going to say that AI is going to replace the skill set and the knowledge and the know-how, even the risk. There's so many other nuances, right? The gut instinct. I'm not going to say it's going to replace all those things. So again, think of AI as an assistant and not the person actually getting the job done or completely doing the job. We all still have to overlook that, but AI can help us do that. And site icons, like AI can help you generate ideas for site icons as well too. So what is a site icon? Site icon, aka favicon, is a small graphic typically used in a browser, address bar or a tab or a bookmark list. It's a visual cue or a brand mark that helps people tell which website they're on. So up here in the top of my screen of my Chrome browser, you can see the site icon right here for Canva, which is the tool I'm using for this presentation. Site icons are typically 16 by 16 or 32 by 32 pixels. And the file types are either ICO, ICO, PNG. Normally they're PNG, sometimes GIFs, but it's all about the support of the browser. And then you can see these icons here, which people really get confused when they think of a icon versus a logo. A logo can contain an icon, but the icon is not necessarily your logo. You need to create a brand mark or a logo specifically for another use case, a smaller use case, right? These are typically a smaller use case, and you don't have much real estate. You don't have much room to do what we all like to do with our logos and get fancy and go really, really cool with it. No, you have to be very simple and very clean and clear. So some of my AI tools for site icons are using one known as ChatGPT or OpenAI, Midjourney, and Canva. These are my favorite tools. There's so many tools out there. And again, I didn't want to overwhelm anybody with just using too much. As far as like giving you all too many ideas and tools to go with, because there's just so much out there. It's like I heard there's something like 100 new AI tools being created like every week or something like that. It's just getting crazy out here, folks. Like it's just getting crazy out here, to be honest with you. But these are some of my favorite tools, and this is one of the parts where I do kind of want to demo some of the example. Now, I'm still looking to how to utilize these AI tools in a way where we are able to get the most efficiency out of them when it comes to creating whatever type of design, layout that we're creating. Because the truth is I heard that there are some people here that are designers and web developers, right? Or people build websites. And then there's like with my designer, there's that resistance. Like right now, she's loving the AI, but there's still the resistance of it, let's say compromising or conflicting with her skill set, right? And I understand that that's for a lot of people, but instead of showing you ChatGPT 4, because it's got a limitation on it for amount of messages, and I didn't want it to like limit on us while I did this demonstration. I actually just got access to ChatGPT to GPT-4, not ChatGPT, GPT-4 in my Playground account. So for those of y'all who don't know what OpenAI is, and I would hope most people here know what OpenAI is, it is the company behind ChatGPT, and they're probably the most leading AI system right now, while we're going through everything. But they're not the only ones doing their thing. Just letting y'all know that right now, they're just one of the top leading ones. You can either get access to you can get access to their AI in many different ways. Some people who are developers access it through the API. Some people who are more commercial users access it through their ChatGPT. And then you can also access it through another one of their not softwares, but web platforms called OpenAI. And this is the Playground tab here in OpenAI. And in this OpenAI Playground, this area here, you're able to use these different modes. And that's what the average person is not going to be using this tool. So that's why I'm letting you know right now, most of you are probably going to be using ChatGPT 3.5, or if you're paying for it, ChatGPT 4. However, I'm testing this because I believe I'm not going to get limited as how many messages I can send using GPT Model 4 because of the fact that I'm paying for this. So assuming, and I'm paying for ChatGPT 4 on the commercial side, but on this side, it's like you're paying, what is it, like by usage, how much you use. So, so what I've done here is in this left side, I've gave it like a system prompt. So when you're in ChatGPT, you use it a little slightly different than this. And if you all haven't seen a demonstration of it, I guess this is your lucky day. This is a demonstration of it, but they do have it on YouTube. But what you do is you put a prompt in here in the system tab, and then you kind of tell the robot what it is or what it's supposed to do. And that's what I've done here. So that's why I said you are a ChatGPT branding assistant created to be an expert in a brand and web design, expert, I meant to say in brand and web design, and help me develop a website guideline. So I gave it like a prompt, like kind of just this kind of source of truth scenario. And then what I would do is I would give it a message here and ask it the question. So, or give it a scenario, or have it summarize, give it content and have it summarize the content. So you don't just have to ask it questions. You can have it summarize content, do calculations. There's so many things that you can do. However, when it comes to creating a icon, one example sometimes I do is I use AI to help me prompt AI. Now it's not perfect. And again, this is all about practicing. The better we get at it, the more we'll know how it works. But what you can do is say, okay, for example, and then this is where I'm going to give one example. And then while I do this, throw me some other stuff in the chat, and then I'll look in the chat and I'm going to copy and paste. And then we just going to kind of look at how the system reacts to us live versus you all thinking that I just, I paid it off, because we don't take bribes around here. That's what Michelle said. All right, let's see. So what we're going to do is say create. Now, the other tool, as I mentioned, I told you I use is Midjourney. So I'm going to have it kind of create me a prompt for Midjourney, see if it does that. Create prompt. And look, the crazy part is this is another AI tool trying to take over called Jasper, and I got to tell Jasper to stop it right now. Create a prompt for Midjourney. on creating an icon for a, let's see, for a, does anybody have an idea before I actually add one? If you do, I'll throw it in there. If not, forever hold your peace. I'm gonna just go here. For a, let's just say a fisherman business that is from the 1980s. We'll put a year in there, 1980s, and has a Star Wars. Yeah, I'm about to go there, y'all. Has a Star Wars appeal. All right, create a prompt for Midjourney for the AI tool. I'll just be more specific. Midjourney on creating an icon. Say to create an icon. And this is, and I'm doing this in front of y'all because here's the thing, like I'm trying to tell y'all right now, this is the goal. This is a lot of the untapped secrets, understanding how to think, how to word, knowing when to give it more detail, knowing when to give it less detail. It is a skill set, but once you understand that and you practice with it, you think about it, this thing is awesome. Like it's crazy. So I'm gonna hit enter and see, not enter. Yeah, I did enter. Oops, sorry. I put it in the wrong one. Or did I put it in the wrong one? Hold on. No, I put it in the right one. I should be able to hit enter. Okay, let's see. Design like her for logo. And this is too where okay, so and what it gives you, it's again, it's not supposed to be perfect. It's just supposed to get you going, like give you the idea of what you're going to be thinking. Sometimes you got to play around with it. Design an icon logo for 1980s fisherman business with a Star Wars inspired twist. Incorporate elements that reflect passion for fishing, a timeless adventurous spirit of the Star Wars universe while maintaining a nostalgic retro vibes. Icon could be used. Now, I did this on purpose because sometimes doing this for certain things is going to get you further away from the result than being simple. And then sometimes doing this for other things is going to get you closer to the result because you do want to have more detail. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to show you that this may or may not work, but then I'm going to make it real simple after that. So I'm going to go to Midjourney here. In order to access Midjourney, you got to have a Discord account, just to let y'all know. So if you don't know what Midjourney is, it's another AI text to image generating tool. Except it uses Discord in order for you to use the tool. It uses Discord. So I'm in Midjourney right now, and I'm going to type in front / image. That's how Midjourney works. You got to put these commands in it. / image. I'm going to delete this real quick. And then it says prompt here, and then I will put the prompt in there. And then press enter. So Midjourney is going to take its time here. And depending on the speed, like you have settings. So if I have right now, Midjourney is, I'm going to create this and I'm going to say settings, right? So I'm going to go check settings. Depending on my settings, I can right here. So fast mode. So Midjourney is free, but you only get limited prompt generations for the free mode. So I'm using Midjourney 5. So if you're using Midjourney, make sure you go to Midjourney 5 here and see in real time how it's doing this for us. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to say create. I'm going to take the same thing, design an icon for a fisherman business with a Star Wars inspired twist. And I'm just going to give it, say, imagine again. So / imagine prompt, and then put that in there. And let's just see what it does on both. Now with Midjourney, there are a couple different things you can do next. I can upscale it. That's what the U stands for, or I can do a version. So 1 is this one right here. That's the first one. 2 is this one. 3 is this one. 4 is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how I go? Upscale means it's going to take whatever you added here and it's going to upscale it. So right now, if I click it, this is 4 different images and it's not the best quality, right? It's not the highest quality. So what upscale would do is I would take that. I'm going to upscale this one right here. And then see how, boom. So now if I want to use that as an idea, I can take that, I can put that into Figma, XD, Canva, Adobe InDesign, you know, all you designers out there. I ain't no designer, I ain't got time for that. But for all you designers out there, you can put it in all your stuff and then you can start to play with it, tear it apart, you know, play. Again, it's just supposed to give you ideas. Now this one is super literal, and that's because this is very literal. Like the prompt is very, very literal. But if I gave it a simple design icon, like design a simple, I didn't say design a simple icon. So I can say, now where the Star Wars twist is, let's see, hold on. I'm hoping there's like a lightsaber. No, do I see some? No. And that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to look to see, did it add the, nope, okay. That's okay though, because that's where you just keep playing with it and you just learn, okay, I can't be too literal. So I can say, like, if I said design a fisherman business icon logo and then kept it super simple, just like this. And I forgot the N is fisherman, but let's see if it knows that, and then we'll go back. So I'm gonna go back here. But that's the idea that I've just striving to give you, is that there are literal icon, you know, AI tools that you can use. Most of them are not free, if any of them. But at the same time, you can, if you want to do something more original, use GTP4 or GPT 3.5. I wouldn't use 3.5. I would use 4 because 4 is just lightning years ahead. It's like 3.5 is going to the moon from Earth and 4 is going to Pluto. Like it's that much of a difference. But that's what I would advise. See how like this one, I kept it simple and it's not super literal. Getting closer here. But the reason why this, you know, wouldn't work as an icon as it is because it's so detailed. And as we said before, you know, your favicons, your site icons, you just want to keep them simple. But it's all about just getting the ideas and doing it that way. You can go to Canva and use Canva as well to do so. It's very simple to do. But I just wanted to share with you, like, that's one of my new practicing ways of getting ideas is by using GPT to help Midjourney and create prompts for that. And the great part is both of these tools you know, don't cost any money just to get started. So, you know, they both have free entry and then you can pay if you want to go from there. And I kind of got ahead of myself with the demo, but that's okay. All right, so selecting typography and heading structure. So when it comes to typography, you know, there are many different approaches and ways that you can go about it. But I like to keep things simple and select a primary typeface and a secondary. So, you know, people sometimes go a little bit too crazy and they pick 4 or 5 different fonts. I would not recommend you do that. And I'm sure many people here wouldn't recommend you do that, experts here. So I like to pick 2 or 3. And even with the 2, you can get a lot out of 2. You can have different weights, different sizes. Like there's so much you can get. You can have the bolding versus italic. There's just so much you can do with the font that you don't have to have a whole new separate font. And I learned that the hard way, how you know, some of the best companies when it comes to fonts keep things so simple, and the fonts that they're using, you would think that they're different typefaces, but they're not. So just think of it that way. So when it comes to typography, I like to use, again, AI just to generate ideas, right? On what kind of font I would use based on a certain industry or based on certain keywords. So for instance, I would say, give me some ideas for font pairings for a hairstylist. We'll go from a fisherman to the hairstylist. For hairstylists and I could have left it there, but we can get for hairstylists that is we'll say eco-friendly. For a hairstylist that's eco-friendly, okay? Let's go there, and I'm gonna submit this. Wait, I'm gonna say font pairing ideas. So boom, bam, bing, right in front of our eye. We got some ideas, y'all. So we have Laura and Montserrat. That's a weird word to say, right? Playfair Display and Source Sans Pro. Mayweather and OpenSea. Now I could have got even more specific and said, give me Google fonts, because you want to stay away from using fonts that you don't have licensing for. Believe me when I say that, because I'm going through it right now. But that's a topic for another day. And that's why I'm letting y'all know, use Google fonts, be careful with your Adobe fonts, and just don't go too crazy with your fonts. But this is something that I love to play around with and use as an exercise, because of the fact that it gives you an idea to start with versus I was almost going to say back in the day, like AI has been around for like decades. But not too long ago, I would do a lot of research, and I still do a good amount of research, but the AI helps mitigate the amount of research I would have to do to match the client and their brand personality or their brand personas to match the feel, the look with the font. It would take hours to do that, where now AI is kind of just doing that like that, at least getting me halfway there, if not more than halfway there. And I think that that's amazing. So that's why I'm saying, think about using, AI to help you when it comes to typography and even your heading structure too. So when it comes to creating a website guideline, and the thing about a website guideline that I know I haven't explained in detail, but at the same time I was going to go over it, while we were going down this yellow brick road, is that it is very overlapping, and it's very how would I say, complementary of the actual brand guideline. I just started adding a website guideline part to my branding process because of the fact that we were already going to use the branding for the brand design. We were going to use that for the website. So then I was like, well, why don't we just create specific rules and guidelines that already help us get in place? And that's what you're seeing right now, is an example of one of our website guidelines that came from our client's branding. And we like to do our headings on it, so that way we know once we get to the development phase, boom, we have an idea of the heading sizes of each of these heading sizes and how the paragraphs are going to lay out, what fonts go with which heading. So what font is, is it the heading, is this font specifically with heading 1? Is this font specifically with heading 2? Is this font good for a paragraph font? Is this font good for a heading font? So just to keep continuing with our example here. Okay, I'm going to say, I got to move these things out the way, y'all. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so let's say add message. Now, here's the thing. This is what I like about this, is I'm not mistaken. This works just like ChatGPT, where it's conversational and I don't have to re-ask the same questions. I can continue the conversation as I go. Some of this to a lot of you all is just me kind of regurgitating stuff you already know, and I completely understand that. Some of this to you all is new, or at least is the first time you're seeing it live like this. So that's why I'm trying to show you in this way, so that way, it's not the same thing as you just going to YouTube and watching one of those videos, because we can all just do that. But as far as, let's say I'd like to choose option 1. And I want you to tell me which fonts would pair with which heading structure, like H1, H2, the body font. What am I missing, y'all? H1, H2. I guess we can go H3, huh? H3, body, title. Well, H1 typically title, right? Okay, I'm gonna just go right there. So, okay, let's see. I'm asking it this way because I want to see if it actually chooses Laura and Montserrat. Oh, sookie now. Look where we're going, y'all. Look where we going. Look where we headed to. Okay. So H1 main heading is Laura. Laura's used for heading. H2 is Montserrat. Either that's Montserrat. H3, Montserrat light or italic. See how we said, you know what I'm saying? See how we said, y'all got to choose a whole nother font. You could do lighted, italic it, body font, Montserrat. Hopefully I'm saying that. I'm sure somebody gonna correct me once we Maestro, you were saying Montserrat. It's Montserrat. I don't know. Okay, so let's go back to the thing. So you just saw how we could use AI to help us with our typography, right? So let's talk about some benefits in typography and web design. And then I'm gonna get to the question, any questions in the chat real quick. So typography and web design, readability, boom, that's big. People need to be able to read it. They can't read it legibly. They can't, actually see it. Then it's going to be hard for them to understand it and comprehend it. Then we have identity. Typography is a big part of your identity. You don't want to be let's say like a nursery, right? And you're working with kids, and your typography is very harsh and it's too gritty. You're going to be giving the wrong messaging. So it does help you identify yourself as your company and the industry. Typography is also good when it comes to hierarchy and it's needed for hierarchy and structure. So as I just showed you here and previously, this is hierarchy and structure. We have heading that we know the H1s, H2s, H3s, but if we get at the nerdy talk side of things of SEO and the blah, let's just say we see some big words, y'all. I see big words, I see small words. I see what the big words must be more important than the small words, right? That's what we should all be assuming. So I'm just saying this to say or the bold word, okay, the bold words are probably more important words, right? Than the non-bold words. So it's little things where we can say it in the jargony term, and then the things we can say it in the urban, that ebonical term. That's what we call it where I'm from. And that's how I like to think about it. So it does bring hierarchy and structure for the complex and the simple-minded. It also is very tied to accessibility. And that's, a huge thing, especially in our world today and in WordPress and online. So, people based on the type of fonts that you use and that typography that you use. And I'm not going to go in deep into, because I know somebody on here is saying there's a difference between the font and the typography and blah, blah, blah. I know there is. But from the most simplistic standpoint, it is important that you keep your typography or your fonts in mind, because it can be the difference between your site being accessible or inaccessible, right? Is that how you inaccessible? I don't know. Say that.
You got it. Inaccessible or accessible?
Inaccessible or accessible. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
So aesthetics is the last part as well too, when it comes to typography and web design. And it just goes back with or ties to the identity, but more is the visual side of things. The identity is what makes you unique and how you stand out, and the aesthetics is more about the feel and the look. Are you fancy? Are you bland? Are things looking right? That type of thing. So let me look in the chat to see if I have any questions. I see, is it Jacquees? I see your comment. The latest leaders elements for AI, CodeWP. Yeah, actually, I use CodeWP. I wasn't going to show that in this, but I use CodeWP as well. So that's a good one. Joseph, yeah, simplicity is definitely ultimate. It's sophistication as a Leonardo. not DiCaprio, right? Da Vinci, or not the Ninja Turtle. I Michael A. where he says, yeah. And then Trevor, when it comes to CSS, can you have it right CSS to apply those to your website? Absolutely, you can. If you want to give me an example, we can try that. I can try that live, during the presentation, during this, and we can see what it does. So
Actually, just from what you produced there, that listing, could you just say to it, hey, give me CSS for that?
I sure can. You want me to keep it that simple?
Yeah.
Okay. And there you go.
Nice.
So, on both ends, whether it's HTML, CSS, it can do both. It can do either or. It can definitely do. You're welcome. And if you, like I said, if you want to get more complex with it, you can. But as you just mentioned, just keeping it simple. You've seen what it can do with just a simple request. So I can only imagine what you're going to come up with, with more complex prompts there. So then, going with typography and structuring headings, I would say that one of the main, some great benefits with it, and these are things that I think most of us are accustomed to, and if you're not, then this might be new to you. But when I think of people using AI and they're using it for text-based purposes, they're normally thinking about content generation and suggestions, and they're sometimes thinking about, not always, but analyzation. So oftentimes I use, the AI tool, I use chat to analyze the content, not just generate me content, but analyze what I already have, help me make it better. Take whatever it is that I'm using here and say, hey, correct yourself, because it is self-correcting. So for example, I can ask it to follow up. And I believe, Trevor, that was your question, right? It was you? Okay, let me follow up with, is this correct? Sometimes you just need to be asked, you need to ask it that. I ask it all the time. Are you correct? Is everything, is there any errors? And it'll let you know. Now, ChatGPT 3.5 won't do this, but 4 will. 3.5 won't do this, but 4 will. At least 3.5 won't do it as accurately. It's not built on accuracy. This is built on accuracy versus speed. And I'm going to say it's self-correcting. It's correcting itself, but at the same time, I think you designers out there, you developers would know better than I would. And then last but not least, search engine optimization. So it's really, really good with SEO. Especially, with keywords, or you just asking it for meta descriptions and prompts and things like that. So these are typical things that people really use it for, but that's why I wanted to show you a real life example of just having it help you with web design or web design guidelines. When it just gave us some headings, it gave us the fonts, it gave us the headings, and now it's giving us the CSS code. I mean, y'all, it don't get much easier than that. I feel like we are so spoiled, but that's just me. All right, arranging your color palette for your theme. So I'm very sure we're aware of, the terminology of brand colors for most of us, but at the same time, what I like to do is prepare our brand colors specifically for the theme that we're using or the application that we're using. So what you see here is actually based on a theme that I use and how their color palette or how their color palette is set up. Now, obviously, these aren't their colors, but it's based on how their color palette is set up. That way, when we deliver the design or we're ready for development, my developer immediately knows where what color goes, and he doesn't have to guess anything for nothing. And that's something that I love to do and set up my team for. So that's why you see it says accent, which are typically like your buttons. Then you have contrast, which are like your fonts, and then base, which are like your backgrounds. You know, that's the most simplistic way I'm sharing that with you. Your mileage may vary, and you're going to have a different look than this depending on the theme that you're using, or if you're using a theme at all. But I'm just giving you the idea. And then this is the theme that I use. It's called Cadence, and this is they have a color palette structure like this. And we like to put it together for light mode and dark mode, and I'll get more into light mode and dark mode later. But just like I did when it came to the headings, you can do the same thing with the colors. So but before I get into a demo, let me give you some benefits of using colors. Let me get this chat out the way. Man, this chat is so intrusive. Okay, so color and web design. So what makes color web design important? Like, why is it you have visual appeal? It adds visual appeal. It aids to the hierarchy and organization, just like with typography. Accessibility is very important in color, just as in typography was as well too. So depending on the color and the contrast that you're using, some colors are very hard to see when they're paired with other colors. So it makes the content hard to see. People are not able to access your website in the best way possible. So you have to be careful with how you use your colors. Going back just like in typography, so we're borrowing some things. So you're gonna see a pattern how we're borrowing some things here, but identity, it aids in identity. It also aids in emotional response. A lot of people don't know that there is a such thing called color theory. Okay, I am no color design expert, and I did not go to school for design. I didn't. A lot of my expertise is self-taught. A lot of courses, DIY courses, experience in YouTubing. But one thing I definitely learned doing a lot of that was after all these years, people respond to colors differently. Emotionally, it does trigger us, and it does create an effect on us. So just be aware of that. When you use your colors, it don't matter what you like. If your audience does not like those colors, you're not going to get the outcome you're looking for. So you can have a preference, but if you're trying to make money off of what you need to be doing, you need to think about that profit. Preference, profit, profit, preference. And then colors also, and then colors also aid to help with call to action. So depending on the kind of color you use, again, going to that emotional response, it will be the determination of whether or not a person actually clicks a button on your website. So just think about that when it comes to colors. And then what I accidentally clicked before was some of my favorite AI tools when it comes to using colors. So there's one called Coolers. There's another one. Well, you are obviously by now are aware of ChatGPT or GPT-4, so that's what we've been using. And then there's the infamous Canva. Canva is one of my favorite tools. It just does so much, but I don't use it for every single thing. I just use it for most things. And if you haven't heard of Canva, think of it as the alternative or a great replacement for people who aren't design experts when it comes to the Adobe suite. And you just want to create some really easy designs from the cloud. I would use Canva. But Canva has now entered the AI race. So for those of y'all who have not heard, that have known that, Canva is now AI efficient. They are all about it and they're ready for it. So Coolers, let's go into Coolers real quick when it comes to Coolers. So Coolers is COOLORS.co. And if you want to do the free version, you just start the generator. And Michelle, how am I doing on time?
You're
I don't
fine.
have too much to go. Okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. So when it comes to Coolers, this is a sleeper. No. Don't sleep on Coolers though, because this is a nice one. So when it comes to Coolers, all you got to do if you just want to get some ideas, like you just want to come in here and you're just like, I have a brain fart. I don't know what I'm going to do, or I have a brain freeze. You know, you just drink one of them 7-Eleven Slurpees, you know what I'm talking about? That brain feed, like, you hit cool, you hit the space bar right here, and then look what happens. It just pumps you out some cool colors, just like that. And then what I like about coolers, and this is what I like about coolers is the fact that you're able to easily, like, so all these little options, like I can remove the color, I can check the contrast, I can view the different shades and see. We're gonna get into this in a little bit. I'm dropping some gems, some nuggets on with y'all right now, but we're gonna get this into I can drop some shades on there. So let's just say I check that. Okay. And see, you saw what just happened? I changed the shade and everything else just changed with it. You know, you see, so that's something that's really, really, really dope too. If I wanted to, I can add another color, boom, add another shade. So I get my different colors from my palette, right? Get my different colors from my palette. Now, this is the simple side of coolers. I just want to show y'all some simple stuff, but if y'all want to play with it, I would try it out. You can get really, really funky with it. You can do a lot of different things and save color palettes and do other really cool things. But I just want to show you that this is one of my favorite color generator tools, and they have applied AI to it as well.
That's pretty slick.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then from coolers, we can go back to our handy dandy. So I'm going back to it, y'all. We're going to keep going with this. So we said, okay, we got because what Trevor tested the waters there. He made us get the CSS. So let's go with the colors real quick. Give me a color. What kind of color? Give me a neutral, maybe. A neutral color palette for this. Sometimes I just like to be nice. I say please, you know, sometimes it's just good, just practice.
My mother says please and thank you to Siri on her phone too, so it's all good.
Okay. So that perfect. Well, I should have said Siri, because I'd be saying Siri, I'd be saying Cyrus, I'd be messing up all the time. But look what we got. So we have a neutral color palette here. And this is something that you can, let's see, like gray. Now I wouldn't just do this. I would play around with it, right? But let's see, can I change it? Just to test to see. All right. They call it white smoke. And this is what I like too. They give you the names for all the colors. That's some sleeper stuff too. Like I like that kind of information, you know, that I'm getting. But then you can play around with this and then start building off of this. So imagine combining a tool like this with a tool like this, where it's doing the homework for you. It's scouring the internet, it's using all its AI magic and powers to say, hey, based on the information you gave me, this is what I think would be the best route you should go. And then you can take that information and say, hey, I'm going to pair that with another tool or my preference in some way, but at least it gave you, you know, what was the most probable scenario. Then you can mix that with what you want to do and kind of have a best of the both worlds, where you kind of have your cake and eat it too, even though it's not always possible. Now, here's another thing. This is one of my favorite kind of sleeper tools that Canva just got, because for a while I was having to do all this work manually. Canva first made this color tool, then they took it away for a couple of years. Now they brought it back because I guess everybody's in this AI race, and it made me salty because all that time I spent. So here's one right here. This is canva.com/colors. They made it super simple, but this was not here before, y'all. Now here's their color palette generator right here. So with this thing, what I like about this is that you can upload an image. So say you want to upload an image like this and steal the colors from that image. So for example, let me upload, I think I had an image. Let's see. I had it download. Okay, right here. So here's an image right here. So bam. I just uploaded an image and it gave me a beautiful 4-piece, you know, 4-piece in the biscuit color palette right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, that 4-piece. I mean, imagine you just uploading, you have an idea, because you know we all love to get into that idea zone. I got an idea. You have an idea. Okay, boom. Upload that image to here and then let it extract the colors from there and then give you some ideas, you know, give you the direction of based on this image that you may have took. You were out and about, walking at the park, or you were getting some coffee, or you were just at a concert. You took a picture of the background and you like those colors. Take a picture with your phone and then up that in here, and then let it extract that information for you. So that's Canva/colors. Now that's one. That's the color palette. That's the color palette generator, and then this is the color palette. So this is kind of like the alternative to the cooler scenario, where if you type in a keyword, so let's go with hair. I wonder if I do a hairstylist, will it give me? Okay, so it did. So, and you can see when I hover over it, it gives me the name. Like this was what they would say for a hairstylist. And then if I go back to like the fisherman, I'm just going to stick with the ones that, just made up. We just made up right now. So no, I'm just going to go fish. Let's see what happens. I can see these for like a fisherman, or, a fisherman business. I can see this. I was going to say like a water, a sea based, but either way, that's the whole concept, right? Is that you're just getting these ideas here from these generators. And this is the thing that people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand when it comes to this term AI, because this is one of those buzzwords again. We've been using AI, y'all. Like that's like for AI has been here. I just got to put it like that. It's been here with machine learning, with generators. It's a lot of information that's been here already, technically studying, scouring, giving the best outcome based on information from a very, very robust way. This stuff has been here. It just blew up this year because of the whole chat GPT thing. But I just wanted to break that down for some of y'all who just thought this AI stuff is new. It ain't new. But that was the demo. I just wanted to show y'all when it came to thinking about using it for colors, how you can use it for colors. You can either use chat GPT or use a AI assistant. It doesn't have to be chat GPT. Have it help you write some colors. You can use couleurs as a color palette. You can mix the two together, or you can use Canva as well too.
That's brilliant.
I'm hoping this is helpful to some. Let me check the chat, because I had to put this down, y'all. I'm sorry, I had to put this thing down. It's been in my way. Try these colors. Oh, okay, I see you, Jim. I see you out here. Oh, well, so what you want me? You said try these colors. What did you want me to do with them? Do you want me to put them in chat, or do you want me to put it in something else? Just let me know, and I'll
Yeah, I just wanted to see a color palette. Those are our two corporate colors. I just wanted to see what other colors it would come up with.
Oh, you talk about if like as far as adding. Okay, these are your two corporate colors. I'm gonna use. How about I use chat? Like say, hey, what colors would match really well with these colors right here? And you gave me the hex codes. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna say there's one hex code. And then here's another hex code. Because this is the thing, I like to use chat as a starting point for almost everything. Sometimes I even ask it in the morning, what should I eat for breakfast? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that serious. Okay, so here are the hex codes. Let me say these are hex codes. And what kind of business do you have?
Wood turning.
Wood turning or churning? Turning. I said it right. Turning.
Yep, like on a lathe, like when you make things on a lathe. Yep.
I was gonna say Tina turning.
I mean,
these
a little different.
For my wood turning business, give me more color palette ideas. Give me 3 sets of more color palette ideas. So see how I asked it? I rephrased the way that I was just gonna say, give me color palette ideas, and it would have, but it may not have gave it to me in sets. I wanted to use what I already gave it and then help complete the palette. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's what I would do. And then I would test these out and see how they pair together, you know, in whichever way, in Canva or any type of way you'd want to. But I think that based on what I see here, just the color pairing, I think that these are, you know, pretty good ideas to start off with.
How do you suck that into your cooler?
You would, as I just did right earlier when I just changed the hex code, just like that.
Okay, all right, it's
And-
that simple, thanks. I
Yep.
thought it was simple, I missed it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's all good. You would take each one of those and just literally click on the hex code, and then right when you put it in, it should just change it immediately. Versus like sometimes you have to press enter or do other stuff. But no, when I did it like that, it literally just changed immediately, which is saves us, you know, a little bit of time. So moving from colors, you know, we're still going to use colors, but we're going to move colors and styling to our buttons. So we're talk about choosing button styling attributes. So when it comes to buttons, I'm a big fan of using buttons I'm a big fan of thinking of buttons in a way where, depending on the industry, depending on the audience, is going to determine the type of shape that I give the button. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to buttons. I kid you not, I swear I can tell a Squarespace website from any other website, whether it's the layout or other things, but mainly because of the fact that the buttons always are squared. People leave their buttons on Squarespace as a hard edge. That's what I specifically mean by when I say squared. It's a hard edge, and their business is something that has more of a soft tone to it or a fun tone to it. And hard edges are normally, you know, geared towards businesses with more of a harder, solid tone, or professional, you know, very, very professional feel to it. And that's a common mistake I see a lot of people make. So that's why I'm sharing this and showing this with you, because of the fact that I didn't know these things either. And this has changed the entire experience for users on my sites and my client sites, because it helps match the feel of the branding. So when it comes to buttons, this particular client, we decided to go with a soft rounded. So you can do a pill shaped, for example. You can do a soft rounded, and then you can do a hard edge. We didn't want to do a pill shape because we didn't want this client to come off to be taken we want them to be taken seriously. That's a better way that I can say it. We didn't want them to be taken too much for fun, even though they were fun. That was a big thing about them. They wanted to come off as fun and exciting, but at the same time, they're a professional companies, so they wanted to come off as professional. So we met in the middle. We said, okay, we're not going to do a super hard edge, but we're not going to do a pill shape. And so that's something that you want to think about. Obviously, you can add icons to buttons too. So going back to the site icons, well, think about how your site icon, your favicon, matches. Does it match some of the icons that you're using in your buttons, if you're using icons with your buttons? And this is the reason why, again, we do this, is because call to actions help lead to conversions. That's the most simplistic way to say it. You ain't getting no conversion. You ain't making no money if you ain't getting no conversions, and you ain't getting no conversions if people ain't taking action. It's just a trickle down effect. And so these buttons, how you display your buttons, are very, very important. When it comes to styling buttons for user experience, they help with your hierarchy and organization. So going back with the styling of the buttons, the rounded corners or the hard edges, that's one thing. But when it comes to having, what the main color of the button is, so say you're on a website and at the top of the site, you have a button that is, red, and all the other buttons on that page are yellow. Well, typically you're going to think that that red button is more important than the other yellow buttons, even if they all lead to the same destination. That's a part of that hierarchy part of things. So you just want to think about it that way. You know, and then when it comes to buttons, I already mentioned call to action. They help people take action. Buttons, when it comes to user experience, they also help create consistency. So if you have the same button styling, then you're going to have a better turnout of your website looking consistent. I'm sure you've seen people have buttons on their website and they have 4 or 5 different buttons. It comes off unprofessional and it can make you feel a little turned off. Buttons, if you're styling them correctly, they should also be really, really mobile responsive. They should be looking good on tablet and looking good on the phone. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure you've seen them too, where you see a person's button and at the same time you are on the mobile version or the desktop version, and for some reason, you know, it's still the same size as it was on the desktop when it's on the mobile. Like something is off. So you want to style your buttons for a mobile and a responsive experience. And then going back to the accessibility, as I mentioned before, we're using some of the terms and features and key points from other parts, and we're going to use them over again. Accessibility is one of those ones that we're going to continue to use over and over again, because website design guidelines should always be we'll say embracing as well as prioritizing accessibility. Because if it's not, then you are doing yourself, your clients, whoever, disjustice, and you might get in trouble. And that's in the website. If nothing else, accessibility should definitely be handled. If nowhere else in the process of building a website, it should be handled in the website guidelines, area, in my opinion. So going back to what we already talked about before, when it comes to styling buttons, I won't show this one because I think you guys get the idea at this point in time. But again, this is my favorite tool, Midjourney. You can imagine how we can use this for styling buttons. ChatGPT, simply asking it, what type of buttons should I use? What style of button should I use around it? You can just be simple as should I use a rounded button? Should I use a hard edge button? Should I use a pill type button? And it'll give you an answer. Then you can go from there. And then Canva as well too. So with Canva, and because I don't want to go into my presentation. With Canva, you can do just like Midjourney. Now, I don't think I showed Dolly. I think I had Dolly on here. Let me see if I had Dolly on here. So this is another one too. I might as well show y'all this while we here. So Dolly is a Midjourney alternative. Dolly is made by OpenAI. Midjourney is not OpenAI. So if I wanted to say, create a stylish website button. Now, I've never done this before with Dolly, so we doing this live here, y'all. Create a stylish website button with, and then I guess we can use, we're gonna use these colors, okay. I'm gonna see if it actually does the colors palette. I don't know if it will or won't. Create a stylish website button with a stylish pill shaped website button. And I could do the same thing. I'm gonna show y'all the same thing with the icon. So I might as well kind of just double down and show y'all with Dolly. You can, but this is called text to AI. So okay. This is closer right here, as an idea. This is closer as an idea. But I'm just giving y'all, just idea, create a icon for, I don't know, create an icon for an apple. I might as well just use. Even they already have it. So say, we were an Apple, Apple company, apple juice company or something. I could just say apple juice company, but just like that. So it's giving sunlight. It's you know, these aren't good, but hey, it's giving us something. But this is Dolly. I just wanted to show y'all Dolly. So it's Midjourney or Dolly. I prefer to use Midjourney, but some of y'all might want to have an alternative. You know, we like to give alternatives out here. So this is where we go to switchable styles. So the last two parts are switchable styles and dark mode. And I think that these are very important. They're not necessary. So these last two parts are kind of like bonuses because they're not necessary, but I feel like they are very, very important. Like they are very important. My mic stand just keeps like dropping on me because it's just heavy. I don't know why. I gotta tighten it up. Okay, so switchable color styles. So when it comes to switchable color styles from light mode to dark mode, I just want to give you the idea of thinking when you are, if you are going to use a light mode and a dark mode, you may want to think about the different shades of how you're using your colors, because it's going to look different on, you know, based on the contrast, based on a light background and a dark background. So as you can see here, we have the same color, but it's a different shade. Now, I'm not going to go into the difference between shade, hue, and, you know, all, you know, we're just going to keep it simple for the sake of time, and just let you know that you want to think of the dark version and the light version. Okay. So we have dark color, we have a primary color, and we have a lighter color. And then you can see what it looks like from a light to dark mode. I can't tell you how much this benefits you or your designer or your client, because at least they're armed with this information if they want to make a choice or a decision or a pivot later versus not having it at all. And this is something that, once again, AI can completely assist you with. You don't have to think about all this by yourself. So switchable color styles helps with personalization. You know, you're personalizing the site for your users more when you decide to switch from a dark mode to a light mode or a light mode to a dark mode. It helps with readability. So going back, just like with typography, it definitely helps with aesthetics. So, you know, aiding the look and feel of your entire site. Having a switchable color palette and switching from maybe a summertime, you know, you may have something more lighter than the wintertime. You may have something more darker to go with the Christmas or the holiday season. Aesthetically, you want to think about that. Brand consistency. It helps aid with your brand consistency as far as kind of having the same thing, creating the patterns within your website. We love patterns as people. That's why when you watch a YouTube video, you typically see the same people have the same intro and outro. We want to be familiarized. We don't like new stuff, you know, so having your switchable color styles ready to go and they are consistent. And then going back to the accessibility, once again, just doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on that scenario. And then borrowing from the same tools. So you see how we talk about patterns? That's why I'm not giving you all these different tools. We're going to use patterns, right? So coolers, you can use that for switchable color styles. Chat. I just showed you many examples of how we can use chat for switchable color styles, and Canva the same way you can use the Canva for switchable color styles. Any three of these tools, or using them together, will help you create not only your main color palette, but also the inversed, or, you know, or I don't want to call it the opposite. So I'll just use inversed, you know, but that other color palette, that complementary color palette, you can use these tools for that as well too. And then last but not least, dark mode. So this is paired off the switchable color styles. This coincides with that. And ironically enough, me and Michelle were just talking the other day about this, and, you know, it was something that came to my attention. That's very important to note. And I think for those of y'all, I just want to keep it in mind too, that dark mode isn't meant for everybody, and it's not good for everybody. Some people, it annoys them or it bothers them, you know, whether it's a preference or it's a medical, it doesn't matter. Just keep that in mind, that everybody is not going to like the dark mode version. Just same way everybody doesn't like the light mode version. So this version can strain people's eyes. It depends on who a person is and, you know, what conditions they have, but you just want to think about both sides of the track. And just like I shared with you when it came to switchable color styles, AI can help you do that. User preference is very important. So as I just mentioned, does that person prefer light? Does that person prefer dark? Are you going to even give them an option? eye strain reduction, depending on who you are and the conditions you have. The dark mode can help reduce eye strain. Sometimes it may cause eye strain, but it all depends on you. Dark mode specifically versus light mode can be an energy saver. So this is something that's typically one of the biggest benefits of having a dark mode option on your app, your website, or whatever, is it can save energy because it's not emitting so much light. And then once again, see how the pattern accessibility, it really does help with that as well too, having a dark or light mode version or a contrast. Sometimes it's not even dark. Sometimes it's like if you're using something like Accessibility, it gives you the contrast picker where you can change that. It helps with that as well too. And last one, same tools, Coolers, Chat, Canva. We're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We understand the concept, I believe, and we know the tools. So now it's just up for you guys to have some fun, play with it, test it out, and let me know what you think. And that is Accelerate Your Web Design Guidelines with AI Assistance.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's a lot of information. A lot of good information. I'm gonna open up to questions. Any questions?
Sorry
Unmute
if I
yourself.
didn't see the chat.
Where could we possibly start?
We'll start with
Where-
what you need first.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would definitely start there. Like I would double down with what Michelle says and just start with what you need first, not with, what you want to dig into and dive into, because then you'll get overwhelmed
Yeah.
with all the options. So start with what you need first and then go from there. And
I think
maybe
you
that
said
need,
you're, sorry. I'm sorry, go
I'll-
ahead.
I was just gonna finish off with maybe that need is more text dependent. So if it's more text dependent, I would start with ChatGPT. If it's image dependent, I would start with Midjourney or DALL-E.
Yep, for
Thank
sure.
you. Well, I think you already said that this presentation would be available on the website.
I'll be adding it to
On-
YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, on YouTube. Okay, thanks.
Yep, that's where I put them all, for sure.
Terrific presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for those who I saw in the chat too. I just wanted to let everybody know I saw. Thank you as well for your gratitude.
Yeah. Other questions? Anybody have questions? I know it's like a lot of information overload, but sometimes you still have a question at the end, like, what about this? Oh, Trevor just changed his to a AI generated image. Look at him. I love it.
I like it. On the fly.
I've used ChatGPT for a few things. I've used it for writing recommendations for people to give me just kind of a start, and then of course edit the heck out of it. But so that I don't forget anything that I need to. I've used it for testimonials and had it look up the person I was writing a testimonial from. And then of course I don't leave it just that way. I edit it down like it's supposed to be. And I've used it for just placeholder text on websites that I go back later and add and edit as well. So it's got a really good use as long as you're not relying on it for everything, and keep that human element involved, as everybody was saying in the chat too.
I
That's
agree.
awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think keeping that human element involved, as I think that we all have agreed to, is very important. And that's one thing that I was hoping to at least display more than anything, is just keeping that human element involved. Yeah, you see the tools there, but what I was wanting to share was my thought process. That's why I was trying to do stuff live, because if I didn't do it live, you wouldn't have seen my thought process. Oh, I'm messing up, or oh, let me rethink this. You would have just thought it just comes that easy, and it's just keeping that human element involved.
Yeah, I love that. Chrissy said she used it to write her speaker bio for WordCamp Buffalo too, which I remember that, Chrissy. That was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
See?
And Trisha says she uses it for ideas and prompts and placeholder text, which I think is great. And I just not the same, but if you ever, this is my little additional note of non-chat GPT stuff or AI stuff, but there are two websites that I like to use when I'm building a website for a client where they haven't given me all the information that I'm supposed to have, all the content. There is catipsum.com So if you need content, you can go to catipsum.com and it'll put all kinds of stuff about cats. And then you can also go to kittenplaceholder.com and download whatever size image you need, so that when your client says, why is all this cat stuff all over my website, you can say, I needed to put something there until you sent me what, the content.
That's clever.
And you will watch them get stuff to you pretty darn fast.
That's clever. I like that.
Those are two of my favorites.
And
Yes.
and then now if you want to play with the tool, start making your own AI generated cat graphics and
That's right.
Ipsums and do it.
Give me 75 words about cats. Copy and paste.
That's
Funny.
hilarious. But
It is
yeah,
funny.
I think that most people probably based on the feedback that you just mentioned in the chat, the examples you gave, it sounds like most people have been using it for text-based stuff. So
Mhm.
as far as now giving some ideas for image-based stuff, I think if you take away anything from today, it's just really understanding that it can be used to help with the visual generation
Mhm.
aspect and not just the text-based stuff.
Well,
If
and
you
even
took anything
code,
away,
right? Like the CSS and
and
other
code
code
too.
too.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Yep.
know I've been watching Twitter about it, and some people are writing small plugins using code generated by AI. And I think that's just fascinating for sure.
Can
It
you
is.
talk a little bit about, you said this Midjourney, you need to have a Discord account. What is that, and how does, what's involved with that? For us
Yeah.
non-technical people.
Well, I would say Discord is one of those weird things where there is non-technical people that use it, and then there's very technical people that use it. But in a nutshell, it's a Slack alternative. And now it's able to be used to kind of be like the generator for for apps based on APIs or based on integrations. And so what Midjourney has done, instead of making their own interface, they have a website, but they don't have an interface to deliver you the content like ChatGPT. What makes them so popular right now is because they have an interface to deliver, like a user-friendly interface. What I just showed you wasn't the user-friendly version. I showed you the nerdy version, right? But the actual user-friendly version is what typical people use. So Midjourney decided to partner or utilize the platform Discord, where people typically use that, like I said, as a Slack alternative for communication, for communities, for groups. But what I was sharing with you is when it comes to Midjourney, create a Discord account for free. You go to Midjourney, you go to Midjourney, it says, hey, do you have a Discord account? If you have it, it just connects with your Discord account. If you don't have it, it prompts you to make a Discord account. Once you do that, just like in Slack or any other messaging app like Facebook Messenger, you'll be using the DM. So you can either use the public, you can use like the public group, or you can use the DM. I'm using the DM method to create my prompts is because I'm using a paid version. But for those of you all who are going to use the free version, you would just use like if you were in Slack, you would go to a Slack channel, and then you would do the same thing I just did. The main difference is like everybody can see your stuff, and you got to go through like the history. Imagine everybody's adding prompts in this channel, and then you got to go look for your prompt. Like that's the reason why I think paying for it's a lot easier to go through your prompts. But if you want to use it for free, Discord is free. I continuously keep saying it's a Slack alternative because that's just the best way to describe it. Most of us here know about Slack, we're WordPress, right? We're all Slackers without the negative connotation involved into it. Most of us use Slack, right? So it's a Slack alternative. You sign up for Discord for free. You sign up for Midjourney. And then once you do that, you'll be able to start doing what I just shared with you in this presentation, just adding certain prompts to create your images, again, for free.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I was just thinking, with ChatGPT, I don't know of any way to put a visual prompt in. Like you can go into DALL-E or into Midjourney and put a text prompt in for an image, but I don't know if there's any tool. Do you know of any tool that you can put an image in and get a text prompt out of it, or base something like use it as a prompt, use the image as a prompt to generate text? Is there anything like that you know of?
use the image as a prompt to have it give you text instead of the opposite?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
guess,
what
I
you-
mean, there's like a lot of steps, like you take it, like you can go in Canva and pull out the colors and then go into ChatGPT and take those color codes and turn that into something. But instead of going through all that, I see that either if it's not, if I'm wondering if that exists yet, or that might be the next thing, to be able to take an image and say, okay, take the colors here, now create a color palette and make me an image with the, like just using all those different prompts in one place rather than going back and forth.
I will say based on your scenario, the closest to that, and it exists, but when it comes to ChatGPT specifically,
Yeah.
they have that on the horizon, that type of feature in their roadmap. It's supposed to be coming soon, where if you give it an image based on what you're saying, it will be able to read the image. And as far as the information, like you said, right now it can't do that. But soon it will be able to do that. It'll be able to read the image, and then based on that reading of the image, it can not only do what you're saying it can do, it can also tell you what to do next. So there's a famous, like, I guess I'll share one more time my screen to make it easier. But on their website, I love that the fact that they already kind of give a demonstration of it here. And if I'm not mistaken, right here. So, and this is just one. So if you fed it in an image and you said, what can I make with this ingredients? It's so smart. It literally can tell you what you can make. It just reads the image.
Wow.
This is what you make. There's another example of this where they have a picture of a balloon and they say, what happens if I cut the string? So there's a string in the balloon and the prompt is, what happens if I cut the string? And it doesn't say that the prompt doesn't say, hey, there's a balloon in the image. No, it just says, what happens if I cut the string? And the chat says the balloon will fly away.
Wow.
So it's getting that smart. Hopefully that answers your question. So soon,
Yeah.
it'll be able
Thanks.
to do that.
All right. Yeah, I hadn't seen that before anywhere, so that was new. Thanks.
You're welcome. That's what we're here for.
Mhm.
Anybody else? I mean, we have some. Emily, that was a good question.
That's a good question. We also
Hopefully I
always save a
didn't
few
bore
minutes.
everybody.
No, not at all. We also save a few minutes at the end if there's just general WordPress questions or site issues you might be having that we can answer for one another or help one another out. So if there are, now's a good time to speak now or hold your peace for a month or post it in the Facebook group, whatever. If anybody has anything else they wanted to talk about. And seeing none, the motion passes. I don't know. I'm tired. Well, Maestro, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm excited that I get to see you in person this weekend at WordCamp Buffalo. I can't thank you enough for taking the time this evening to share with our group. And like I said, we'll put this up probably tomorrow. It'll go up on YouTube, but I will share the link with you for sure.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody. I mean, these are some awesome questions. You have an awesome group here of people, very active. And so I love that, like, much respect.
Yeah.